Welcome to episode 18 of The Only Playbook. I am your host, Sweet Carr. I got Shishot and Shovit with me virtually for the first time since we've started this. How are we doing, guys?
Doing good. Staying away from you, man.
Yeah,
Down with sickness.
First Shishot had it, now I have it. Shovit, hopefully you don't get it, man. It sucked very bad. You can probably hear it in my voice, a little nasally, but we're working through it. You know, we can't skip episodes. You know, we're gonna come and do the job regardless. So
I like your voice like this. It's very deep and it sounds very good. It sounds very professional.
It just reminds me of that episode of Friends where Phoebe gets a cold and all of a sudden she sings really well and then she doesn't. She loses the cold and she's like, "I lost it."
I feel like that all the time. I feel like I sound like Drake when I have a
cold. So we all should always have colds when we're recording our podcast or have a cold filter. That'd be
exactly.
Sick.
Yeah.
A new idea. But thank you guys for joining us again. We're recapping week 9. So many things happened. First and foremost, always want to give you guys a shout out. Social media has been phenomenal. Shout out to Shovit, who's being a little bit active and reaching out to some well-known podcast dudes. And I think he's a Steelers fan, right?
That I don't know, but he's he makes a lot of videos as far as fantasy football is concerned. And he was giving me some insight on how to just have some better views and things like that. So he didn't have to do that, but he gave me the insight that we needed. So thanks for doing that for sure.
Justin Wright, right? Justin Wright,
exactly.
Shout out to Justin Wright on Twitter. So we really appreciate that. We're always taking feedback. We want to grow. We want to get better. So we appreciate everything that you guys have done for us thus far. Let's kick right into it. I was a game time decision today, so I did kind of muster up the courage and play.
Fantasy points.
There are a lot of injuries on this Tuesday episode we want to give you guys updates on. Obviously, headlining with the fact that it's Tuesday. There's so many things that can lead up to Sunday, but give us the rundown on what we know so far.
Yeah, got a lot of a diverse group of injuries to discuss today. So speculative stuff that you might not see in other podcasts yet. The Saints, they picked up, they're working out or picking up a bunch of running backs. What does that mean? That means there's something wrong. I don't know, but it's a good indication if something's not right, because no team goes out there and works out 3 running backs out of the blue when they just got Mark Ingram to take a lot of the carries. So something's not right. And like we said, it is Tuesday and different teams have different personalities when it comes to revealing information. So Saints, something going on, and we are on to you. You need to tell us if something's going on with Kamara. But yeah, so they're picking up and looking at a bunch of backs. Kerryon Johnson visited, Josh Adams, Rodney Smith. No names. You need to be unless you're last place and they're you need to throw a Hail Mary. Maybe go pick up these guys, but just keep just remember these names. So when you hear them later on in the week, you're not surprised. Sam Darnold. So it turns out he broke his scapula bone on his throwing side. So you can't really do anything if you have a broken scapula. The range of motion, you can just flick stuff, but the whole movement that goes along here, all that's limited. So that kind of explains why he's been playing so bad. But I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much. But PJ Walker's going to step in. They just signed Matt Barkley.
Oh.
So but it looks like PJ Walker will be the guy starting. So if you're in a deep league, 14-man, 16-man, 2-quarterback league, PJ Walker is like the Tyrod Taylor kind of a guy. So he'll give you some of those rushing yards and whatnot. Nick Chubb on the COVID list with Fulton. So the number 1 running back and the number 3 running back, not counting Hunt, are now on COVID protocol. Thankfully for them, it is Tuesday. We did get this news today. So by Saturday, they should be able to get 2 negative tests within 24 hours, and they should be able to play. But you can't predict each person's illness. You don't know how they're going to react to it. So keep that in mind. They also just signed Brian Hill, former Falcons running back. So that's also a sign that, they're being a little precautionary. And Kareem Hunt was supposed to, a lot of people talked about him coming back week 10 possibly, but it looks like the injury is worse than expected. So he might be out maybe week 11, week 12. Tua, limited with finger injury. Some reports say he's throwing really good out there. Some reports say he did look a little limited as far as what he could do out there. So it looks like he will play. The thing is, the game's on Thursday. So if it was on Sunday, he would be out there playing. You would be starting Waddle and all those guys. But now you got to keep a close eye on this, because if he doesn't start, Waddle's value will drop by a couple of points. unless he breaks one free. But just keep that in mind as well. Marquis Brown, he has some back issues going on. He was a full participant for Thursday. Sammy Watkins was limited, and Latavius Murray did not practice. So he's probably not going to play, but Marquis Brown should be in your lineup. Kyler Murray looks like he's improving with that ankle sprain. But here I have some quotes for you. The team today sent a report saying, "We want to do what's best for Murray long term." That's not something you want to hear as a Murray owner trying to start him week 10. So again, it's Tuesday. Remember, the bulk of our injury reports come on Friday and Saturday. So as of right now, I'm just giving you straight up quotes from what's coming from the team. Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show today said he is confident in playing week 10, despite rumors that there is a slight chance he would not play this week. So he's confident, and all I really need to hear is what Aaron Rodgers had to say. And if he's confident, he will tentatively be in my lineup until further notice. Jets not in a hurry to bring back Zach Wilson. Not like that helps or not doesn't help any fantasy owners, but having a Michael Carter Williams, you kind of want what's his name? Mike White.
Yeah, Mike White.
Yeah, you need Mike White out there if you're a Michael Carter Williams. The results are just day and night with
Michael Carter, right? Michael Carter Williams, the basketball player.
Oh, yeah, Michael Carter. What's his first name?
It's just Michael Carter, I think.
Really? I thought there was 3 words to his name. Am I tripping right now?
You might be. I think it's just Michael Carter. It just sounds like it should be another name to that, but it's just Michael Carter.
Okay. All right. Well, regardless, there you go. As long as somebody confirms. So yeah, Saquon also working off to the side. He's been off to the side more than he's been
for how many weeks now?
For many weeks. So I don't know what he's going to do. Stay tuned. We'll give you the actual report later on this week, but he's working off to the side at the moment. Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson both in concussion protocol. That's a little concerning because those are probably 2 of their best running backs. And that means Brandon Bolden, if you're, again, I'm not going to waste the high waiver pick on Brandon Bolden. But again, if you're scratching to make the playoffs, you're weak in running back and it's a PPR league, Brandon Bolden is a must add for you, but not for anybody else. Chase Claypool, toe injury. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. He kind of didn't play the end of the game there, but it looks like it is a little bit more of a bigger deal than we expected. Hopefully it's not a Brandon Jacobs situation because he was out for a while.
Josh Jacobs.
He got an MRI. Sorry, Josh Jacobs. But yeah, he got an MRI today, and we don't know the results of that MRI. So I'm sure when you wake up tomorrow morning, the MRI reports will be all over Twitter. Yeah, and that's all we got, except one more thing. Russell Wilson should be back this week. That didn't last very long. So maybe, all the receiver owners are happy. And we'll see. We'll just see, because I want to say some more things, but I'll wait until our next few segments.
Yeah. Chase Claypool, man, just seems to make one spectacular play a game and then just gets hurt. I'm just like, God, I want more. I keep craving more, and he can just never deliver more.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Man, it's not even his fault, dude. He's got multiple targets in the end zone. Looked like it wasn't even Freiermuth who was targeted initially. It was Claypool. Every single drive, it was Claypool targeted in the end zone. And the throw was just bad, dude. Like, Big Ben's not cutting it for Claypool. Claypool with any other quarterback right now would be, Freiermuth would have 0 touchdowns this week if Claypool got the right passes thrown to him. So that's basically it as far as that part of the recording goes.
Yeah, so the injuries that highlights everything that we know on Tuesday. Again, this is Tuesday the 9th, so keep in mind we'll record again on Friday, and there will be more up-to-date injury information, and obviously at Only Playbook on Twitter, we'll keep you informed. Jumping into the slate of games we had on tap, obviously the first game on the showdown was the battle for Ohio. The Browns and Bengals played this game, and this game did not go like most people thought. The Browns, in stunning fashion, convincing fashion, 41-16, they win on the road. They covered the 7-point dog spread, win outright. Over gets smashed 47.5. Man, Bengals slowly again, every week we're like, are they for real? Are they not? And then they lose to the Jets, and then they just get destroyed by the Browns at home. What do you guys think here?
Yeah, this week was just an interesting week, right? Where you have a lot of underdogs coming in, pulling through.
I don't think I've ever seen this many underdogs. win. Never.
Wild. Like not only covering the spread, but outright winning. And there was a lot of like high money line that if you actually put money on some of these teams, you would have definitely benefited. But the Browns definitely stepped up their defense. In that first quarter, the first interception was a pick six. Denzel Ward had 101 yard, interception for a touchdown, and that was kind of just started everything. And the Bengals just didn't recover from there. They kept making mistakes on fourth down. And a lot of drops. Jamar Chase had a drop in the end zone. So the only player from the Bengals that actually produced and did well was Joe Mixon. Outside of that, none of the Bengals, Joe Burrow included, just did not do as what we have seen from the Bengals this week. So, and credit to the Browns for stepping up and even on offense and doing what needed to be done.
Yeah, I think it's important to see that the Browns played mistake-free football, right? They stuck to their formula. Baker didn't turn the ball over, made timely throws. Nick Chubb, obviously the story, just running all over the Bengals, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, had that 70-yard run. Catch. Yeah, exactly. And again, no turnovers, right? And then you look at the other side of the coin in the Bengals. Joe Burrow was sacked 5 times. He had 2 interceptions. They lost, I think, 1 fumble, but there were a lot of balls on the ground. It was just very, very sloppy from the Bengals. It's interesting because we've toyed with the line of the Bengals coming out and beating convincing teams like the Ravens early on, and then they turn around and lose to the Jets, and then a bounce back opportunity here, and they just absolutely weren't even in the same field with the Browns. So are the Bengals frauds? Are we slowly creeping into fraud territory for Cincinnati?
I think their defense is definitely along the fraud meter. They're
fraudulent.
I'm getting a very fraudulent vibe from that defense for sure. But the offense, I mean, it's still, from fantasy perspective, I'm not worried about the Bengals. I will never start their defense, but Jamar Chase had a bad day, but he still got 13 targets. Volume is the name of the game, and if just one of those were to hit, it would change the outcome a little bit for fantasy purposes. So, just Myles Garrett has the Bengals number there. He's 5-1 against the Bengals since he's been on the Browns. The defense, they stepped up, put the Browns back in their place a little bit. And we'll see if the Bengals can just do anything next week.
Yeah, Bengals are going to be on a bye, so they at least get to recover after these 2 crushing losses.
Okay.
The Browns are going to travel to Foxborough. They're taking on the Patriots, so not an easy task there. But Bengals definitely needed the bye. They need to regroup. I feel like they need to go back to the formula in the past where they were relying a lot more on their offense, relying a lot more on Joe Burrow, because they can't have their defense on the field much of the game because clearly their defense is getting gashed, especially on the run. And that's a recipe where you keep your offense off the field because the Browns just controlled the clock by running the ball. So will be tough. Will be tough for the Browns next week. Bengals need to recoup in the bye. The Broncos came into Jerry's world and playing the Cowboys here. And this was another game that didn't go at all like we had predicted. Another upset on the board. The Broncos win this one 30-16. Broncos were 10-point dogs and won outright. Another huge money line play if anybody had the balls to take them. The under comes in actually at 49, but this game was a lot, not as close as that final score shows. I think it was 30-0, right? It was 30-0, and I'm pretty sure the Cowboys scored those 2 garbage touchdowns. But what the hell happened to Dallas here?
Yeah, the Cowboys just basically just did not execute. They failed on 4th down conversions twice to start the game. A lot of teams are out there doing 4th down, like trying to go for it on 4th down. Some get it, some don't. We saw Cowboys that didn't get it, and Broncos came back and just exploited them. Not only did they exploit that defense, they exploited Diggs, right? First there was a pass interference that when he was covering Sutton, that got him to the end zone. Mm-hmm. And then that Tim Patrick bomb. Yeah. It's crazy. The week right after we talk about, Tim Patrick is probably not going to get the bulk share of targets. He is gets a leading targets in that team.
He wasn't the leading targets, but he had the most yards.
He had the most yards. Okay. Yeah. So that bomb from Teddy definitely helped. So, and I think the rushing, right? The rushing for the Broncos, 111 really yards good for Williams, 80 yards and a touchdown for Melvin Gordon. So they were able to control the clock and just not let the Dallas Cowboys get on the field have a comeback that they hope that they would.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's not fake news about the Broncos, we've said, I don't like a lot of things about the Broncos, but you would be a fool to say their secondary is bad. That secondary did a phenomenal job. They shut down all the elite receivers in the Cowboys, and the only way they could score was throw it to people like Malik Turner. So, yeah. I mean, I'm sure the Broncos didn't game plan to shut down Malik Turner. So, I mean, they try to crawl back into this one. But yeah, I mean, this was a very dominant win by the Broncos. They just took away every single game plan the Cowboys could have thought of. We've been saying how the Cowboys are so dual threaded. They can throw at will, they can run at will. Well, they stopped both. They didn't even give them an option. So I'm excited what the Broncos will do after such a dominant win. Neither of these teams are in the fake news category anymore because this is such a emphasis of a win, and the Cowboys are still 6-2. I can't take away all those wins because of the one loss, but I am open to seeing what's going to happen. Every week is exciting in football, but it's just going to get more and more exciting because of all this. Teams that start off 6-2, teams that start off 7-1, we're starting to see some weaknesses here. And the later down we go down the weeks, the more data there is to attack all these teams that are so good, and teams are finding ways to exploit that stuff.
Yeah, it's 7-1, 6-2. In your head, you're like, oh, that's a surefire playoff team. But we added an extra week this year, and that's, not even halfway through the season, right? We've seen, as Vikings fans, we've seen crazy collapses after like historic starts. So we know all about the fact that this is such a long season, and the Broncos have continued to be on this teeter-totter of fake news, not fake news, fake news, not fake news. And you're absolutely right. The one thing definitely not fake news about the Broncos, they lose Von Miller and then come out and have a dominating defensive performance, right? So the table was set from the beginning, Shova. You hit it right in the head. The first kickoff, I think Cedric Wilson had, he returned it all the way to midfield, and you're like, okay, it's gonna be another Cowboys romp fest. But that drive, 4th and 1, Zeke gets stuffed, right? Very next possession, 4th and 1, Dak has Wilson wide open, underthrows him, and then the rest is history. The Broncos controlled the clock, they took the lead, and they ran the ball. 190 yards on the ground on 41 carries. That's going to control the clock as well as it possibly can. You look at time of possession, 41 minutes to 19 minutes. That's insane. You put the Cowboys offense only on the field for 19 minutes. That's a recipe for success, and the Broncos did it. And so you have to like what the Broncos are doing. They get another favorable matchup next week against the Eagles, and one more win there, and they're 6-4 all of a sudden, right? So the Broncos are right back into contending. The Cowboys are 6-2. We're still not afraid and worried about the Cowboys, I would say, thus far, because they're going to play the Falcons next week. Should be a good enough matchup for them to bounce right back. But we had our next matchup on the board was two bottom feeder teams. The Texans were at the Dolphins, both coming in at 1-7. Not the most exciting game, but the Dolphins get the job done. Boring Brissett takes it home with the 17-9 victory. Miami covers the 5.5-point spread, and the under hits at 46.5. Tua was out, so Brissett did start. The only thing that jumps out to me in this game is the fact that Mike Gesicki had two of the most spectacular one-handed catches of the entire season in one game, in one half. And so, I don't know. Tyrod just couldn't quite get it done. They were hanging around the whole game. It was close, very sloppy, not a ton of action. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I didn't have high expectations for Tyrod. We discussed last week. They're both really bad teams, right? But the Dolphins are a little less bad in one category, and that ended up being the difference. It's good that Tyrod's back, and I'm happy for him. And he used to be a nice little fill-in for bye weeks. He was never a consistent starter, but he hasn't played very much football this year. You have to wonder, would it have been just better just trying the backup, the rookie, just to see what he could do?
Just keep Mills in at that point.
Yeah, Tyrod threw 3 picks, threw 43 times for 24 completions, and it literally went to just 9 points. So yeah, the Texans pretty much played how I expected them to play. They still don't have an identity in the running game. They're using Phillip Lindsay one game. They're using David Johnson one game. They're using Rex Burkhead one game. I don't even think they want to win, and they're not making it obvious. It's pretty obvious they don't really want to win very much right now. So I expect the Texans to just kind of they've thrown in the towel. It looks like they've thrown in the towel.
Yeah, they should definitely throw in the towel at this point. They're not going to make it to the playoffs. Like nothing good is going to come from this. Maybe if you put Davis Mills in there and then like let's see how this rookie quarterback will perform in the rest of the season, then they can kind of play off of that. But the other thing to look at in this game is also the fantasy implications. Myles Gaskin, he's given 20 carries that turned into 34 yards.
That's the most inefficient running guy I've ever seen.
He scored a touchdown on a direct snap. He did score a touchdown, so like that kind of
salvages his day.
His day. He got 6 catches for 23 receiving yards. So like all in all, you look at the total fantasy points. I think it's probably like somewhere around 12 to 15. Yeah. You've got to be like, oh, he probably had a good day, but he just wasn't getting anywhere running the ball.
No,
he got the 6 targets and he got that lone direct snap touchdown against the Texans. So not what you want to see when you've got Myles Gaskin on your team. The other guy to look at is Jalen Waddle, leading receiver in the game, catches 8 passes for 83 yards. So I definitely like Jalen Waddle like moving forward. I think this is the guy that you need to have as a receiver. It's probably too late to buy low on Jalen Waddle. I wanted to get him, I couldn't get him. So,
you're making it sound like he got 8 catches for 2 touchdowns and 120 yards. The dude had 8 receptions for 83. That's a bad day for like a guy on my lineup. I wouldn't be too excited. But Tua is the starting quarterback, I assume, on Thursday, and that changes everything.
Right.
If it's Brissett again, then I'm not hyping up Jalen Waddle.
Sure, but with Brissett, you get 8 catches, 83 yards. He's the number 1 receiver on the team. No Devontae Parker. He should be getting the bulk. I mean, there's Gesicki too. He's a tight end. He'll get his. But I think Waddle is a receiver that you need to have as well.
Yeah, I will say, based on your trade that you were about to make, I feel like the other guy played slightly better, and we'll get into that. But Waddle is the guy. I mean, that's the one thing we talk about is there a clear-cut number 1? And even with Brissett, you get 10 targets. We know it's going to tick up with Tua slightly just because they like to throw Tua more, and Tua loves the underneath stuff. But yeah, you're right in the sense that Waddle is definitely their definitive number 1, but that offense is pretty piss poor, so it's tough to be convincingly starting him week in and week out if you have the depth, but some people don't. So when some people don't, obviously it's a decent play. So Texans are now 1-8. They get to rest up. They have a bye week. The Dolphins are now 2-7. They're going to be at home. They're taking on the Ravens next week, so it doesn't get any easier for them. The Falcons and Saints squared off on this next matchup in the divisional game, and another upset on the board. The Falcons win this 27-25 on the road. They cover the 6-point dog spread, hit the money line outright, and the over comes in 41.5. Another upset. What is that? 3 or 4 upsets on the board that we've seen so far. The Falcons on the road. Saints quarterback woes, right? I mean, I think the problem with the Saints is Trevor Siemian had a good day, but at the end of the day, is it enough? Is it enough? Is the whole juggling with Taysom Hill getting a couple passes here and there, running the ball one time here and there? Like, is that the recipe long-term?
I mean, I don't think so. I think you've got to just pick one, and Simeon has got to be the quarterback. Not that he's a great quarterback, but he also had 2 touchdowns, 25 for 41, 249 yards. You kind of expect more because I don't think the Falcons' defense is that great either. So you were expecting more from them. They could have won this game. At the end of the day, they could have won this game. But Cordell Patterson, God, this guy is a beast, man. What can he not do to catch that 40-yard bomb? And I thought he was just going to take it all the way for a second, but they stopped him, I think at like 30-yard line, and then, or was it 20, something like that. And then they go on to win, kick a field goal with under 2 minutes to win the game. So, just a solid executing performance by the Falcons to hold off the Saints and beat them.
The Saints actually played pretty well. But it's so funny. Like, Matt Ryan is the reason they won this game, and we haven't even said his name yet. He went 23 for 30, 2 touchdowns, 343 yards. Like, he's playing lights out. If you really look at the numbers, he's playing better and better every game. And he's the sole reason. I mean, not the sole reason, Cordell Patterson. That tandem is the sole reason for them clawing back into this. They're in the playoffs right now. I mean, it's like, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Matt Ryan's doing. He's not even throwing 50 times. It's just 30 times. They're just a balanced offense. Who would have thought the Atlanta Falcons, because of Cordell Patterson returning this balanced offense without even needing to run for many yards. It's not even the fact that they run. They don't run well, but it's the fact that they can just do just enough to make those passing plays open for this man, Cordell Patterson, who doesn't need many targets. He doesn't need many receptions, but the yards are always there. The touchdowns are always there. That's the definition of efficient. And the Falcons are playing pretty damn good football right now.
Look, I fell in love with the Falcons in the game against Tom Brady, against the Buccaneers. And do you guys remember we went
and they
and
had
watched
that great 7 minutes?
the greatest 7 minutes I've seen. I was like, this team could definitely roll on offense.
You've also said how good the Vikings are every other week when they do well.
Dude, the Vikings.
That's another story, man. That's another story. But yeah, you're right. The Falcons did run the ball well, but when you have Cordell Patterson there, it already poses a threat, regardless of if he ran the ball 9 times for 10 yards. But the efficient nature in which he does things, 6 catches, 126 yards on 6 targets. Every target that went his way was caught. Olamide Zaccheaus, just being smooth sailing, 3 targets, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. Everybody thought Russell Gage was going to be the benefactor, and he had 7 catches, but Zaccheaus with 2 touchdowns, man. That's good for him and good for the Falcons. Again, they're 4-4. They're right now in the playoffs after we continue to call them bottom feeders and, never took them seriously. And who knows, they probably won't make the playoffs at the end of the season, but halfway through the season, they're still right in the thick of things. And you have to be relatively happy if you're the Falcons. The Saints are now 5-3. The Saints have question marks on their team. What's the situation going to be for Taysom Hill? I guess my thing with Taysom Hill stems back to last year. Even when Drew Brees was on his final legs, Taysom Hill is not a quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to be able to take over a quarterback role. He's like this unicorn type guy that can, you can use for a couple plays here and there. And obviously we've seen what Trevor Siemian can do in this league. And, it's really not it. Yes, he had a good game. Yes, the Saints defense is good enough to carry them to victories, keep the games close. But if the Saints team wants to compete down the line, I don't know that Trevor Siemian's the quarterback to get it done. And if Winston is out for season, are they going to roll with Siemian for the rest of the season? Are they going to look at maybe a veteran?
Like. That's what it looks like as of now. It looks like they trust him. The sample size is hella low. We've only seen 2 games with Siemian. I mean, I'm not going all in on Siemian or anything, but like you said, the defense is good enough. It's good enough to where he can play the way he played today and still win. The Falcons just played one of the best games they played all year. They make a lot of mistakes too, but we have to remember there's a lot of little things about this Falcons team that we don't think about. Like their cornerback, I forget his name. Is he a rookie? I'm not sure either. That's the thing. It's like there's all these weird intangible players that are just all over the field for them. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now. He's like shutting down people left and right. He's allowed like 60 something yards total all year. See, it's things like that. It's like, you see Cordell Patterson. You see all this, but there's stuff going around this other ends of this team that they're slowly kind of just forming things together. And when you're beating a division rival that's been whooping your ass pretty much your whole existence
on the road, I mean, I can only imagine they're going to play a little bit better here on out, but we'll see.
For the Saints, the other thing is like, you don't trust the quarterback with Siemian or Hill, but I also don't trust the receiving core either. And that's why, like we're talking about OBJ potentially going there with Callaway, Harris, and Traquan Smith. I mean, I don't know if that's like one of the receiving core.
Those are 3rd string receivers on.
There's no clear cut number 1 there. They're all like fast guys. None of them can run pristine routes consistently. You can't trust one guy to be the guy there. And that makes it tough when Kamara's your leading rusher, Kamara's your leading receiver, and second on the team in targets, right? It's just too much workload for a running back. Even as good as he is, it's not a recipe long-term. You have to have a clear cut one. Yeah. So it's going to be tough for the Saints as they're going to be at the Titans next week. So it doesn't get any easier. Falcons doesn't get any easier. They're at the Cowboys, 2 really, really good matchups on tap for week 10. The Raiders were at the Giants this week. The Raiders have been toying with fake news and not fake news as well. They dropped this game to the Giants on the road 23-16. Giants win as 3-point dogs and cover the money line outright. The under hits at 46.5. Giants continuing to play good enough football, overcome their plethora of injuries and all the other bullshit that's going on with the Giants, and they beat the Raiders at home by 7. What did you guys like from the Giants here?
They're my favorite shitty team by far. Like, I love watching the Giants because you don't know what you're going to see. Like, they have nobody to get the ball to. The quarterback makes weird decisions, just fumbles at least once a game. It's just like, and they don't even throw that much. They're still a run first offense for being a shitty offense. It's like, I don't understand what they're doing, but it's fun to see what they do because it's so different every game. It's like, they're adjusting to what's being thrown at them, and it's pretty obvious. And there's games like this where they come out victorious. They're still 3-6. They're not doing much. They still allowed a good game from Waller, which hadn't happened yet. But they did a pretty good job of holding it down as far as shutting down the passing situation. And that's what the Raiders are known for. Basically, that's all they can do. They can't run the ball anymore. I don't know what happened. Josh Jacobs had a pretty good game. He only got 13 carries for 76 yards, which is pretty good average. And they continue to use Drake for, multiple situations. But fantasy purposes, if you're going to start Drake, you're basically hoping for a touchdown at this point.
Yeah. On the Giants side, though, we have Evan Ingram with a touchdown on back-to-back games.
I was like, look out.
3 receptions on 3 targets. Enjoy having him on your team. If you want him on your team, go do it.
The Giants are so shitty, bro. They netted 96 passing yards this game. Evan Ingram and Kyle Rudolph led the team in targets. And Devontae Booker. I mean, come on. You didn't even throw it to a receiver more than 2 times all game, and you beat the Raiders? What the hell are you doing, Vegas?
And the Raiders don't even have some of their best cornerbacks. Like,
nope. One
dude just got kicked out. So it's like,
yeah, Derek Carr had 3 turnovers. He threw 2 interceptions. He fumbled the ball once. Just a sloppy game in a game where there's no reason if a team is throwing the ball for net 96 yards, you shouldn't beat them. I mean, that's pathetic.
Yeah. On the offense side, I'm sure they miss Ruggs. Like they miss that ability to throw it deep. And now they have Deshaun Jackson. So wonder if this is going to kind of get their offense back to what we've seen them. Because, Derek Carr, he can throw the ball. He has options with Renfro, Edwards, and now Jackson and Waller. So once Jackson's there, I wonder if they're going to be back to what we've seen them.
Yeah, with the Saquon news, working on the sidelines. I don't know what that presents for Booker, but Booker, lone bright spot there, 21 carries, 99 yards rushing, had 23 yards. So over 100 yards combined on between rushing and receiving from a guy who's just kind of at this point a backup. Yeah. So you have to be happy if you filled him in.
Salute to you, Booker. We're probably never going to see you again, but it was nice having you.
No, that impressive day for him. Ran the ball hard. Anytime a backup running back gets over 20 carries, you have to like that. So the Giants are going to have a bye. So they get 3-6. They're, again, the bottom part of that NFC is still open. So they're not out of it. And they have a week to rest. The Raiders have another tough matchup. They're going to be traveling back home, but they take on the Chiefs next week. So that's going to be interesting. The Patriots were the next game on the board. The Patriots at the Panthers. Patriots came in 3.5-point favorites, and they win this convincingly 24-6. Defense plays lights out. The under hits at 41.5. Patriots are now 5-4, slowly above 500. Panthers dropped to 4-5. Seems like same story, different week for the Panthers. I mean, protect the football, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Sam Darnold with 3 interceptions and included a pick 6 for the Patriots to get a touchdown there. So, I mean, at this point, like maybe you just don't start. Well, now that Sam Darnold is hurt, you definitely have to start PJ Walker. But just not a great performance on all sides of the offense. Like CMC, you expect him to have a better game. I know he's just coming back, but 52 yards on 14 carries, 4 passes on 54 yards. Not CMC like. Robbie Anderson, non-factor, and DJ Moore, he just sucks, right? And we expected DJ Moore to be shut down with Bill Belichick's defense, and he was 3 passes for only 32 yards, also because of Sam Darnold just not being able to throw the ball. So poor performance by the Panthers.
On the other end of things, Mac Jones, just the most efficient man in the game of football. Like the dude he just knows where to put the ball, and the smartest play. I feel like he does like calculations in his head before he gets rid of the ball. It's just, he plays such good football. I enjoy watching him. I've never seen a rookie come in and just like play like this since like Cam Newton or something. Very different style of football, but I just love how he just connects. Like I'm a big fan of accurate quarterbacks, as you guys know. And this man is going down similar trajectory as far as just making sure you get the ball to the right guy. He did throw a pick, and only had 139 yards, but they didn't have to do anything. They just played fundamental Patriots football, shut down basically everything the Panthers have to play. So they used their defense to win the game. They're just plain and simple. Patriots just played very Patriot-like football.
Yeah, defense forcing turnovers, getting short fields. Patriots running as a team collectively 39 times for 151 yards and a touchdown. That is the recipe for success for the Patriots. And Sam Darnold's recipe for not success is turning the ball over a bunch of times. And so unfortunate for the Panthers. They clearly didn't find their quarterback of the future, right? This trade that they made, hoping that maybe Sam Darnold can be rejuvenated at this, in a new scene, new place. I don't think that's going to happen. I expect much more of a workload starting next week from McCaffrey, hopefully, just because it was his first game back. And it seemed like early they were at least trying to spell him. I mean, Chuba had 3 carries. Amir Abdullah had a carry. They ran DJ Moore twice. So I think they were making an effort to limit his touches, but hopefully as he gets healthier and gets fully healthy, his touches will increase for his fantasy owners. But right now, outside of him on the Panthers, nobody really becomes a viable fantasy start. And that sucks because early on, we were so excited about DJ Moore, and right now he's just nobody. So not to the fault of his own, it's definitely Sam Darnold's fault, but I don't know. It's going to be tough for them. They play the Cardinals next week, so it doesn't get any easier. Patriots have another tough test. They take on the Browns at home. Anything else you guys saw in this game?
No, it started off so bad. I was really worried. I was like, it was just a punt after punt after punt after fumble after, it would just start off really bad. But then I think after the end of the first quarter, Bill Belichick kind of was like, all right, let's just get some turnovers from this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patriots a dark horse in the NFL. Like they could easily make the playoffs, and they've got
any given year.
I don't think anybody would want to play the Patriots in the playoffs. You don't want to.
No way.
Yeah.
No.
So, but you're right. Mac Jones incredibly accurate. Even when in games he doesn't have to do much, he's never the reason they're losing the game. And that's rare to see from a rookie quarterback. So good on him. The next game on the board, quite frankly, might have been the biggest upset on the board. The Bills were at the Jacksonville Jaguars. 14.5-point favorites. And what do the Bills do? They lose the game 6-9. Final score 69. Shout out 69. Under gets stomped on 48.5. I mean, the Jaguars literally covered a 14.5-point spread. What was their money line bet, you think, Shovit? Like plus 800?
I don't know if it was, I don't know how high it was. I didn't even bother looking.
Because it didn't seem realistic.
It wasn't even available. Like the person who I'd go with, I can't even do the money line.
Because it's too ridiculous.
It's too ridiculous. And so, no, this is crazy. And the highlight of this is Josh Allen, but not Josh Allen, the quarterback. It's Josh Allen, the linebacker. I mean, geez, an interception, a sack, and a fumble return on Josh Allen.
Yeah,
like led the team in tackles.
Guess who was playing against that Josh Allen in IDP league?
You?
Oh yeah. No.
Damn.
Oh man. Yeah, that is frustrating. Like, but see, both of these offenses were just poor.
Bad.
They were really bad.
Josh Allen, the quarterback, he's never going to be Aaron Rodgers. How can he play like this?
There's really no excuse to put up 6 points against the Jaguars. I don't care. I don't care who you are. Like, I don't even care if they have like Christian Ponder as their quarterback. The Jags are god awful. Their defense is bad. How are you one of the best offenses, high flying offenses in the league with weapons galore, putting up 6 points?
It's wild. It's crazy. He didn't get help from his run game either, right? Like Singletary didn't have that great of a game. Neither did Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss dropped a pass that should have been a touchdown. And so, these are little things that in the grand scheme of the game, like you need to do to help out your team.
But like, just from like a different perspective, they're not a team to rely on the run game. They throw it down your throat, and they basically run when they're already up, and that's how the running backs get their yards and whatnot. But like, what was so disappointing is just Josh Allen is not accurate. Like, he's throwing passes to the ground. He's like, it's embarrassing calling him top 3 best quarterbacks. Yes, he's top 3 most athletic quarterbacks, but there's so many quarterbacks that can deliver. The rookie that I just named could place the ball better than Josh Allen can. Yeah, Josh Allen's great at deep bombs, creates big plays. Congratulations. But if you can't beat the Jaguars and you're throwing 2 picks in the process, you got to fix this before you get to the playoffs.
Yeah, 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, a fumble. Right. And here's what I'll say, right? We've seen so many teams that are new era NFL are successful being throwing first and the running complementing. I feel like there is no team that can be successful only throwing the ball, right? You have to have a running game that can at least complement your passing game to at least keep the defense honest. And they don't even give their running game a chance here. I mean, the game was 6-9. At no point were they losing so far fetched that they had to throw the ball only, but your starting running back has 6 carries and the backup running back has 3 carries, and that's it. I mean, establish the run to some extent, right? It's been 3 quarters. You put up 6 points trying to throw the ball 40 times. Hey, maybe let's just try to hand the ball off a couple of times. This is one of the few times where I'll actually be on the other side of the coin. As much as I hate being a run first only team, when you're passing and relying so much on a passing game, yeah, some games maybe your quarterback's inaccurate, and you have to have a respectable running game to at least carry the game forward. And they had nothing. They had none of that. They didn't even try it. It seemed like. I mean, you see it in the box score: 47 throws for Josh Allen.
Yeah, well, you have guys that are like Stephon Diggs that you can throw the ball to, and he's always going to be at that deep threat. And you have Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders. So when you have like those 3 really good receivers, that I almost feel like they're tempted to want to pass the ball more often instead of running when you got Singletary and Zach Moss in the backfield. So maybe it's just one of those, like, it's a curse to have too many options.
It's like overconfidence or cockiness, right? They were never out of this game. It's not like the Jags were ever like destroying them. So they knew that they could continue to just try to play the same brand of football. And, at the end of the day would probably come out victorious, but this is one of the few times it didn't happen. I don't think we're still questioning the Buffalo Bills by any stretch of the imagination. Expect them to bounce back next week at the Jets. Although if it's Mike White, look out. And the Jags, the situation for the Jags won't get much easier. Big impressive victory for them, although it didn't seem like they really did much. Lawrence was underwhelming. I mean, 15 of 26 for 118 yards. Their best player was Dan Arnold and Carlos Hyde. So
I can't really. I mean, Buffalo Bills defense did their job, right?
Yep.
I mean, you allow a team to 9 points, like, you got to win that game with like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and it was just a piss poor. I feel like the Bills already forgot about this game and they're already working on the next game, because I don't even know if you can learn anything from this game. That's just how bad this game went. It's just like, I think it's a game to just scrap up and forget about it and get back to doing what you normally do.
Yeah, schedule is going to be in their favor again. They're at the Jets next week, and for the Jags, it won't get any easier. They're going to be at the Colts. So big upset for the Jags this week. The Vikings are the next game on the board. They were taking on the Ravens in Baltimore. Tough game, big high scoring game, 31-34 final. The Ravens come out by 3 at home. The Vikings do cover the 6-point spread, and the over gets smashed at 50. Let's take it away. Talk to me about this game.
Just copy and paste what we talk about every other
rinse
game.
And repeat. Rinse and repeat.
It's the same damn thing. You play good football, you keep it close, and you lose heartbreakers. I mean, what else is new? Everybody does the same thing. Justin Jefferson's doing his thing. Actually, Adam Thielen, he did his thing too, by the way. He got a touchdown, but he was thrown to 7 times. I don't know if I've seen Adam Thielen only catch 2 of 7 before. And, we're still focusing on this whole Tyler Conklin business. I mean, I just don't know if we need another guy. I don't know what's going on. KJ Osborne only got targeted twice. I don't know. We didn't really have to throw as much. So that's why these numbers are probably a little lower than usual, because they did run Dalvin Cook to the ground like they said they were. It's not technically to the ground. He only had 17 carries, but it was very efficient 17 carries. So, yeah, I mean, they played regular Vikings football, scoring touchdowns here and there, scoring 30 points. And then the defense did what they normally do as well. Very sus in clutch situations. Had a huge lead at one point, like a 10-point lead, something like that, and just crumbled in a matter of seconds. Lamar Jackson just kind of took over. You couldn't stop Lamar Jackson.
You guys are up by 14 twice. Once in the first half and another time in the second half. Blew both of the 14-point leads. So I don't credit. I mean, credit to the offense. You guys, I think the offense did what they needed to do. I think it's the defense that needs to be pointed. The fingers need to be pointed at, right? The defense you just couldn't stop Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, we're playing with people like Cameron Bynum, Kenny Wilkes, like DJ Wonnum. We're missing a lot of our players. We have nobody left on this team besides our 2 studs in Eric Hendricks. Actually, 1 stud in Eric Hendricks. We have nobody left, and this was a game without Harrison Smith. It was going to be a disaster. I kind of knew this was going to be the outcome, but they just gave us so much hope. They kept the game close, scored 31 points, just couldn't score more than 34.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when you see the defense give up 34 points, you're like, yeah, the defense is definitely at fault. Offense scored 31 points. You're like, yeah, the offense did their job. Dig into the numbers a little bit. Lamar Jackson was sacked 3 times. He had 2 interceptions, one of which, I mean, as much as, yes, the defense probably should not be giving up 30 plus points a game. We got the ball back in overtime again. We first possession in overtime. Lamar Jackson throws that interception where Anthony Barr makes that insane play where he tips it up to himself and gets it right. So all the Vikings need to do at that point is kick a field goal, win the game. Our offense, our amazing offense against the Ravens, who have been like disastrous defensively, right? They're not good. They haven't been good defensively at all. We go three plays, 1 yard. So
the play calling, the first 2 play calls, it was a short pass to Dalvin Cook, right? And then Dalvin Cook runs to the next play, and now all of a sudden it's 3rd and 9 again. It's like the Vikings love to be in 3rd and long situations, and it's just that's what they do. The first two plays in every drive or every after every first down, it's just disastrous. I don't think any other team does what we do. I can't think of a team that would be that dumb.
No, we just love to put ourselves in 3rd and long situation. It's horrible play calling. At this point, I'm sick. I want everything to change. I don't like the way we do approach games at all. I don't like the play calling. I don't like the scheming. I don't like anything. At this point, I'm tired of excuses. I just don't care. I don't care if the defense played well. I don't care if Jefferson couldn't get open. Like, those are BS excuses when your best receivers, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, 7 and 5 targets, 5 targets for Justin Jefferson. I'm just sick and fucking tired of seeing Jalen Waddle as a clear-cut number 1 on a shit team get 10 targets, right? You have so many guys who are by far the number 1 receiver. We know the talent that's there. Force him the fucking football. Like, CJ Ham doesn't need a target every game. Why do we love throwing the ball to CJ Ham? Why does Luke Stalker have a target again? Why are we throwing these people the football? I just do not understand the play calling.
It's the whole Kubiak situation. Like, his
get
dad was the coordinator.
Yeah,
his dad was the coordinator last time, and I think he's just trying to do what his dad's doing, but he's doing worse than his dad's doing. Like, this isn't working, bro. If I was in a relationship with the Vikings, I would be breaking up with them.
Yeah, it's time to cut ties. It's not going to get any easier for Minnesota. They're going to be at the Chargers next week. And what are we going to hear? Oh, the Vikings put up 45, but lost 45 to 48. So the defense played awful. What happened? The offense put up 40. It's going to be the same fucking shit, dude. So I am over it.
Since we're on the we're on the Vikings segment here, I do want to bring up that just got a notification. Dalvin Cook has been accused of physical and emotional abuse by his ex-girlfriend. So something to monitor. I thought he was the one.
Yeah. So let's be careful about the headlines that we read out, because the report I read was somebody broke into his house. He defended himself.
Yeah, and this was a year ago, by the way. Also, something to be worried about when you know the timelines of these things.
Yeah, somebody broke into his house. He defended himself, and then the person that got beat up because they broke up into his house charged him with whatever the indictment is. So yeah, I got that notification too. I don't know how that's going to affect his short-term fantasy viability.
I don't think it will.
That's good.
If it stretches on into it, I don't know. I don't think it will either, because I don't think the timeline and the overall premise of the situation is not something I feel it would be directly Dalvin Cook's fault, at least on the surface, to immediately remove him from the game, being like he needs to step away from the team because he hit somebody or something. Mm-hmm. So I think for that matter, they'll probably dig into it, but I don't see him immediately being out or not playing. But it is Tuesday, so we don't know. But it is something to keep tabs on. Anytime some sort of information like that comes out, you never know what trail it can go down.
I got to give my 2 cents in this too. I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think the only concern here is if there is a court hearing on a certain day and our game is on that day, he will not be able to go to the game, right? So that is the only thing. I think that's the main reason this news was released, because this happened a year ago. So it's just a bunch of litigation stuff. It has nothing to do with anything recently. So it's just a matter of if something is happening on that day, he's going to have to come out of the game or not play that game and go attend whatever that needs to be attended. That's basically it.
Yeah. Obviously if you have Cook, you probably have Madison on your bench already, just on the off case that something bad happens. But other than that, again, nothing to be concerned with, I would say. But yeah, the Vikings doing Vikings things, lose another one. They're at the Chargers next week. The Ravens are at the Dolphins next week. The Ravens are now 6-2, not playing the best brand of football, but the record says otherwise. And so the next game, the Vikings are taking on the Chargers. The Chargers this week, though, we're at the Eagles. Close game here, 27-24. Chargers take this final, cover the 1.5 point spread. The over slightly barely cashes in at 49.5. What did you guys like about this one? I thought Herbert played a really, really good game. Offense was clicking on their end. Keenan Allen got involved a lot more than we've seen from Keenan Allen so far this season. And the Eagles kind of were the Eagles.
Eagles were kind of were the Eagles, but you've got to like what you saw from Devontae Smith. There were signs that he was getting targets. He was getting as far as wide receiver one, what you would like to see. So we talked about him last week. What do we do with them? Just kind of keep him on our bench. I think that's what you guys said. So gotta like what you see from them. And another thing is, on the Eagles, Howard is getting the bulk share of the carries there. So, instead of Boston Scott or Gainwell, looks like he's the one that's going to be getting the bulk share of carries. So, gotta like what you see there as well.
Yeah. My only concern with this whole thing is they played a stretch of games where they were playing against like the weakest run defenses in the league. So they enforced this whole run first approach, but I think they're going to have to revert from this eventually because not every team is going to be this bad against the run, and they're going to have to go back to their bread and butter, which, hasn't been winning them games, but it's giving them promise. So I think they're going to, don't get too used to the last two games of the Eagles is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I wish I would have kept Howard and got rid of Scott and all those guys, but I think a lot of people initially didn't even pick up Howard. I think they were just like, it's kind of like not even looking at him. But yeah, it looks like he is the benefactor from all this running. But like I mentioned, don't forget, this is not going to last too long. At least it shouldn't. Just from the 9 games I've watched of the Eagles this year, they're only gelling when they're staying in the game, last minute, fourth quarter stuff. When they do this whole run first approach, they're winning games by a lot, and it's against bad teams. Or just one sample size. They did that one time, and they tried it again this game, and it just wasn't going to work. They were going to have to get the ball back. And you can't just keep running in the fourth quarter when you're down. So, and I think that just not throwing all game kind of showed up at the end there when they couldn't really do anything at the end when they finally tried to throw. So I think we're going to see more of a balance. The last 2 games was a little bit of an outlier. So don't break the bank with Jordan Howard is what I'm saying. I saw some like the headlines on ESPN notifications today for ESPN Fantasy was like, will Jordan Howard win you your league? And I'm like, dude, thank you for sending stuff like this, ESPN, because a lot of people that have no idea how this Eagles team works are going to pick up Howard, and they're going to be like just breaking the bank for him. And yeah, he might have a couple good games, but this is not the formula that the Eagles are going to use to win games.
Yeah, and Miles Sanders isn't out for season, right?
Right. He's going to be back in like a week and a half.
Yeah. So, I mean, regardless of what they do, Jordan Howard on the depth chart, at least in the eyes of our depth chart before these last couple of games, was literally practice squad. So it's tough to imagine that Jordan Howard's not a catching back. So if Miles Sanders is back and he's their number one starter, Jordan Howard automatically also assumes a practice squad designation because Gainwell is their third down back regardless, right? They haven't put Boston Scott or Gainwell really in the passing situations right now because it seems like they're running the ball more, but Jordan Howard's never seen a third down back either. So I feel like if Sanders gets back, Jordan Howard automatically is the odd man out. So yeah, short term, maybe next week, if Sanders isn't in, you have to like Jordan Howard at least getting in the end zone back-to-back weeks and getting the bulk share of the carries. But long term, that Phillies run game is already suspect as it is.
I mean, I think the recipe. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to change the conversation completely. So
for me, with Jordan Howard I would expect he should be getting the bulk load of the carries. Like I feel like their offense needs to give him the ball and then kind of run around, like work around that, because you have Jalen
run to set up the pass. And they've tried with Miles Sanders. It doesn't really work out for them. Gainwell has had some games that are good, but I think that he's the running back that you would want to start with I will wholeheartedly disagree with you. I think this is just a sample of just playing really, really bad running teams. Chargers are one of the worst. They played the worst running team last week, and we saw some promises, but like you're falling into the same trap ESPN setting here. Yes, start them next week. See how it goes. I wouldn't oppose that completely, but they're
at the Broncos, and so Broncos are no slouch.
Yeah. but I am not I would not give anybody advice to go get Jordan Howard now, and that Jordan Howard is the back to have on this team. That's a little bit. That's a little. I'm not confident enough to say that at this point, because the games that Miles Sanders did play, he wasn't even given carries. First of all,
Yeah.
he ran the ball.
Right.
They weren't even running the ball. Yeah.
And then the game he got to run the ball, he got injured, right? So we didn't even get to see what he could do, and it was already looking good. He had a high yards per carry that game, and I am like, it depends on Miles Sanders' injury and how quickly he comes back from it. So yeah, sure, go ahead and ride the Howard train until then, but at that moment, be ready to get rid of Howard, because unless he does something insane against the Broncos, the recipe for winning is not, in my opinion, it's all opinions here, right? So I just don't think Jordan Howard's the answer.
So for me, the bet is that the Eagles have adjusted and are not the same team that they started off with in the first 6 weeks. And because, they weren't producing the results, they only won one game in week 1. And then after that, it was just Jalen Hurts just not being able to get the throws that he wanted. It just wasn't a producing offense. So I think that once you started establishing this run game, that the offense looks different. Yeah. I think that they should ride off this scheme. But you're right. And if they've played bad defenses, so if this doesn't work out, I'm sure they'll go back to their
and whether they run that scheme or not, the big story from this conversation is that Jordan Howard is not the answer, because Jordan Howard is a journeyman at this point. Again, he was activated off the practice squad because they probably wanted a veteran presence when Miles Sanders went down, right? Mm-hmm. But again, what did the Eagles like to do? The Eagles they like to throw on third down, and that's even when Miles Sanders was in, we thought Gainwell was the third down back only, right? There was no Boston Scott, there was no Jordan Howard at that time, and then Miles Sanders got hurt. Everybody assumed Gainwell would be like the running back, and he's still not the running back. Boston Scott still hadn't proved anything, so they were just splitting carries, getting Jordan Howard, who's a veteran, who they know what they're going to get the carries. And so I agree. I think the formula for the Eagles should be not to throw the ball 60 times with Jalen Hurts, but at least run the ball. But I think Miles Sanders is automatically, when he's healthy, going to be slid in there as a starting running back. And I don't think there's any question to that.
But yeah, I do agree with you, Shovit. They can't win the game just throwing the ball and running the ball 6 times. I do think they need to run the ball more, at least 10 to 15 times minimum, but they're not going to get the opportunity to run the ball as much as they have going forward. They play Denver next week. That's just, they're not going to run the ball very much that game.
Yeah, the Chargers are going to take on the Vikings next week at home. The Eagles will be at the Broncos next week. Eagles are now 3-6. Again, nobody's really out of it there. Chargers are 5-3. The next game on the board was the Packers. The Packers, without Aaron Rodgers, traveled to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs win this in a really low-scoring affair, 13-7. Packers do cover the 7-point spread. Under hits 48. This was the Jordan Love show, or lack thereof, huh?
Yeah, I was watching, I think it was the NBC Sunday Night Football, and Tony Dungy and what's that quarterback's name for the Saints? Drew Brees was there, and they're asking who's the best team in the NFL now. Last week, they were so quick to say it's the Packers. This week, no Aaron Rodgers, and it's like, oh, well, maybe it's the Titans. I'm like, the Packers are still a good team. If Aaron Rodgers was there and he was playing, he would have demolished.
They would have won.
They would have won. They would have won this game.
Jordan Love just did not look accurate. I think he started getting his momentum a little bit later in the game, but towards the first half, he just wasn't accurate. And so that's he wasn't good at all. So I think the Chiefs kind of just capitalized on that. I would have expected the Chiefs to score more, but credit to this Packers defense for only allowing.
Dude. Chiefs suck. They're sneaking these wins. They're 5-4, but they don't look like a 5-4 team. They look like a 3-6 team at this point. They're sneaking out these wins against teams that are there's something wrong with that team. They still haven't fixed their problems. There's still no problems being fixed, and Jordan Love just couldn't capitalize on them. Jordan Love had all the way from the beginning to the end of the game to try to win this game. He had so many opportunities. There was never a time where Kansas City was up by a lot or anything like that. It was just it was a close game.
13 points. It was 13-0, and that was it.
That's nothing. Lamar Jackson did that in 2 minutes the other night. So this many opportunities, being behind Aaron Rodgers for that many years, watching behind the GOAT, in my opinion, and you can't learn anything how to move the ball down the field with all of the weapons back against a poor Chiefs defense. Yeah, man, Jordan Love, Good luck, bro. Good luck finding a job because I don't think you're going to be starting for the Packers if you keep playing like this.
Yeah, he was inefficient. 190 yards on 34 attempts, through the interception. Never really got into a rhythm. Again, some of his throws were just really off. Adams had 6 catches on 14 targets, and there were a ton that were not catchable. So just not putting the ball in the right spot. Timing was off with Adams and a lot of those back shoulders that we expect. Rodgers and Adams already have that connection established. So it's tough. It's tough to step in when you're filling the shoes for somebody as good as Aaron Rodgers, who makes a lot of what he does seem like second nature, but it's clearly not. And so the chemistry just quite wasn't there. And again, on the Chiefs, they didn't deserve to win the game. They didn't do a lot to win the game. They just played less shitty than the Packers did. And again, I mean, the Darrell Williams, 19 carries on 70 yards. At least they're trying to establish the run. Kelsey has a touchdown on 68 yards. Tyreek Hill had 11 targets, but only 4 for 37. And when's the last time you saw Mahomes throw the ball for 166 yards? That's just a very, very, the Packers defense is good. We've talked about it for weeks now. The Packers defense is no joke. They held another formidable offense, although they're, scuffling this year to only 13 points. And yes, if Aaron Rodgers was playing this game, they absolutely probably would have came away with 14 points at least. Jordan Love just couldn't quite get it done, but no reason to, write the Packers off. They're going to have a big game next week. You have the Packers versus the Seahawks, potentially Aaron Rodgers back, potentially Russell Wilson back. So that should be a true test in the NFC for them. And the Chiefs are 5-4 now, and they take on the Raiders. So 2 teams that are, maybe in the same category or classification in terms of, are they for real? Where can they go? So 2 tough tests for them. But in terms of fantasy wise, there wasn't really a lot to like on the Packers side, right? Aaron Jones was average. Devontae Adams was average. And the touchdown went to Lazard. Anything else you guys saw in this game worth noting?
I started Jordan Love, and it was the same league that I was going against. What's his name? Allen.
Josh Allen.
It was a bad week. It was a bad week for me in that league.
It's okay, man. I was right there with you. I started Jordan Love, and didn't really see the results that I wanted.
You would think 2 years of playing behind, watching Aaron Rodgers, how he scratches his butt, how does he throw it behind the back shoulder throws, all of the above, and he just couldn't soak it in. It's so sad.
I wonder what Devonta Adams is kind of going through, because he's like, well, if Aaron Rodgers is not here, this is what I have to deal with. Like, I don't want any part of this.
Good thing is they're both free agents at the end of the year.
Yeah. Can we please go to the Minnesota Vikings, please?
That would be nuts. But the Packers are 7-2 now, right? Despite the loss, they're still 7-2. They're still sitting pretty. The Chiefs are now 5-4, like you mentioned, showed they're crawling their way above 500, beating shitty teams. Nothing spectacular, but that's the scary thing about the Chiefs. We've said it all year long. All it takes for 1 week for them to figure it out, and every team that let them stay in the race at 5-4 are going to be sorry. And it's just a matter of if they're going to figure it out or not.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, they just played less shittier than they have been. Well, here's a stat to back that up. I'm like getting furious just talking about this game, but the Chiefs had a positive turnover margin. Their first game with a positive turnover margin since week 1. And that's why they won the game.
Wow. Well, there you go. Patrick Mahomes, I don't know how many weeks it had been in a row since he threw an interception, but he didn't have an interception this game. So I guess that made all the difference, right? We credit them on making all those spectacular plays, but they tried 1 week where they played like shit, but just protected the football, and it resulted in a dub. So whatever works for them. But the next game on the board was the Cardinals. The Cardinals, without Kyler Murray, traveling to San Francisco, the Bay Area, to take on the 49ers. No Kyler, no problem. 31-17 as the Longhorn native Colt McCoy leads them to victory, covering the three-point spread and the over hits at 45. Colt McCoy, man, that brings back some memories. Colt McCoy gets the job done for the Cardinals. What'd you guys see here?
Dude, this was insane, because when the news came out about Kyler Murray, like the lines all completely stopped. You weren't allowed to bet. And I was like, man, I should have gotten the 49ers, but I didn't have a chance to. And then the line comes out, it's like +3 favored to the 49ers, or -3 favoring for 49ers. And at that point, you're not gonna take that bet. But the Cardinals came through. They did what they needed to do. Colt McCoy looked really good. James Conner, former Steelers, with 2 touchdowns. I mean, not only
three touchdowns, one in the air. Yeah.
Not only were they like touchdowns, we've seen those red zone touchdowns, but this was like pretty long, like
well
34
deserved touchdown.
Yeah, this is
Well-
the first week I feel like James Conner actually ran the ball well, because every other week he was just getting vulture touchdowns for Edmonds, who's doing all the.
We talked about that. Like, it's all about like building momentum, right? Like when you're splitting carries with somebody else,
Oh yeah,
you can't find those reads you found like 3 plays ago, because now this next running back has already fucked that up for you because the defense has already adjusted to something else. So it's like, I'm happy for Connor, because I remember when I drafted him like 3 years ago in the 16th round, and he was the sole reason I won the championship, because he played so well that year. And if he looks like he's got shades of that back, if not better, I don't want to take one game sample size and like jump all over it, but it was the 49ers defense who are a top end defense in the league, and he just ran all over them.
Yeah, no, the 49ers had no answer to the Cardinals offense. I mean, no Hopkins, no Green, so Kirk with 6 receptions,
crazy.
91 yards. So yeah, it was just an amazing show. On the other side of things, as far as fantasy goes, Garoppolo, Kittle, and Ayuk all performed really well. Kittle 6 receptions, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, the guy's just coming off the IR. You don't know what kind of targets what he'll get. Comes off.
They even said he's gonna get limited.
He's on a pitch count. Yeah,
he's on a pitch count.
What is a pitch
So
count?
it's
6
a snap.
receptions?
It's a snap count. It's a snap count, but it's like a baseball reference.
No, I get that, but like in terms of the 6 reception, 101 yards and 1 touchdown. I mean, I don't for a tight end. Like I don't really know if this is a pitch count.
Maybe all the plays that he was actually in for, he got targeted. But like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just like very efficient with their kill usage.
Yeah. And then Ayuk coming out from the grave there, 6 receptions, 89 yards and 1 touchdown. So yeah, the receiver and tight end for 49ers did really well. You've got to like Kittle moving forward too, like this, just to be able to start him. Yeah, that's kind of what you expected from him for the first 3 weeks of the season before he got hurt. And now he looks like he's getting those targets. So while
the Cardinals had one of the best defenses against tight ends too.
They were number 1 coming in this week, guarding opposing tight ends and fantasy.
Kittle is back.
Yeah, Kittle's back. You don't have to worry about starting Trey Sweeney anymore. Shove it. Good for you.
It's funny that you say that, because the 2 tight ends that I had, right? I had Freiermuth and I had Kittle. Freiermuth against the number 2 tight end. Like the Bears allowed the second least amount of points to tight end. And then we just talked about the 49ers allowed the least amount of fantasy points to tight end. And, I was trying to play matchup.
Yeah, you got to start your studs, though, man. That's got to start your studs.
Yeah, what do you guys think long term, though? Do you think Deebo Samuel all of a sudden is not as dominant as he was with Kittle? Yeah, with Kittle, because Kittle's been pretty much non-existent all year, right? Because of the injury. Yeah. Ayuk has kind of been non-existent all year, but now with Kittle back, the target share completely split between them, 9, 8, and 8. What does that say for Samuel owners?
Ooh, I'm a little worried if I'm a Samuel owner. A lot of the times when you have a good tight end, it benefits wide receivers, because the tight ends take up a lot of the lot of awareness from the safeties, a lot of awareness from the linebackers. So you have room. You have more room as a receiver when you have a solid tight end people have to worry about. And Deebo Samuel does like to extend the field. He's not really a drag route kind of guy. So I do see potential, but the target share is 33% now. It's like he took 33% of the target share. That's a lot. Yep. And and if I'm the 49ers, as much as I love Deebo Samuel, he is going to go in a lower role here, and I'm going to be force feeding Kittle. I mean, that's what you should do, right? Kittle's huge. He's fast. It's a mismatch every play. Even though Deebo Samuel is a mismatch to a lot of cornerback, he's still a little guy. Like, he's not the biggest dude in the world as far as size goes. So when you want to get those third downs, when you want to get those crucial plays, even when you want to go hit the area between the hashes, you're going Kittle. Like, this is what Kittle does, and this is why he's arguably the best tight end in the league. We got Kelsey, but Kelsey can't do a lot of the things Kittle can do either. So I'm happy to see Kittle back. And unfortunately for Deebo Samuel owners, the targets are going to be gone, but hopefully they can maximize on the few plays that they will get.
Yeah. The Cardinals are going to be at the Panthers next week. Now they're 8-1. They're sitting pretty atop the NFC. 49ers have a tough division test. They're going to be at home against the Rams next week. That takes us to the Sunday night football game. The Tennessee Titans were at the Los Angeles Rams. And boy, these Cinderella story Titans, another test and another test aced. 28-16. They win on the road, 7.5-point dogs, winning another money line outright. Under hits at 52.5, but holy shit, the Titans defense is for real. 5 sacks, 2 interceptions on Matthew Stafford. The offense only musters 194 yards of total offense, and you still win the game by 12 points. Man, it must be nice to beat the Titans.
For me, I look at this Titans team and I'm just like, they're just coached really, really well. Like that interception that was the first interception on Matthew Stafford, like the guy, it was such a good decoy. It was a slant route, and then he was kind of in the middle of the field, but then he just kind of
he wasn't supposed to be there.
He wasn't supposed to be there.
No, the Bird, the guy that picked off, that's the player you're talking about, right?
So
apparently the coaches were like, what were you doing over there? And he's like, bro, I just scored a touchdown for you. And the coach was like, you weren't supposed to be there. So yeah,
he should have been there because that was such a good decoy. Because he was just like acting like he was playing back, but then as soon as he saw Matthew Stafford's motion, he like ran and tried to jump the ball and then caught it, and then it's pick 6 after that. So I didn't know that was
the post game interview. Right when the game ended, they interviewed 2 guys. The guy that got number 58, who got like all the freaking sacks, and then they interviewed Bird. And that's the first thing he said. He was like, yeah, man, like I wasn't supposed to be there, but I did it. And here I am. And we the best. And we don't need Derrick Henry. That's literally what he said in summarized form.
I mean, that's like the summary of this team. It's like they find ways to win. No Derrick Henry, but, able to stop Matthew Stafford. I think it was like back-to-back picks, if I'm not mistaken. Like Stafford just kind of and his numbers don't look bad. Like 31 for 48, 294 yards. 1 touchdown, but it's the 2 interceptions that just kind of like shook this offense, and then just weren't able to get back to it.
Yeah,
they ended up scoring 21 points within that second quarter when all of that happened. So like they put themselves in a huge hole, and they tried to crawl out of it, and it couldn't have.
The Titans did a great job of just capitalizing on those turnovers and making them pay. Took the lead early, and the Titans they won the game in convincing fashion with 26 carries as a collective team for 69 yards. So it wasn't no Derrick Henry, no problem. Their rushing game really didn't get going. Adrian Peterson 10 carries, 21 yards, got a touchdown. Nichols 7 for 24. Deonta Forman 5 for 29. But Tannehill had that 1 touchdown run on that bootleg. But other than that, it was really, really a story about their defense. I mean, AJ Brown had Jalen Ramsey on him, I guess, quite a bit. 11 targets, 5 for 42. Julio Jones 4 for 35. But the one weakness in the Titans team as a whole we talked about was their defense, and their defense came to play this game and was the difference for them. So Titans winning every which way possible.
Dude, this is like a dream. They should make a movie out of this Titans team if they win.
Remember the Titans? That'd be a great story. Has anybody heard of it?
No, but like it's just like being a Titans fan is the greatest thing in the world right now, because they're winning games they're not supposed to win, and they're winning with like not just focused on one form of play. You mentioned you like their coaching, but you know what? Their coaching is the same style coaching as the Vikings coaching. They're old-fashioned run-first teams that throw after setting up the run. But if you look at the statistics here, they don't even have to run well in order to still win games, because they find ways to win on defense. And there's just like a complete team right now. And I can't think of a more complete team than the Titans right now.
Yeah. I just see this Titans team like, all right, they're going to win these games, and then the first round of playoff, they lose, is what I'm expecting from this Titans, honestly.
Yeah, that's a long projection all the way. That's like 50% of football still left. But
Yeah, long way to go. But right now, these Titans are scary. It doesn't get any easier for them. They're going to be taking on the Saints next week. So,
does it even matter at this point?
No, I think the Titans as a team are matchup proof. And I feel like every single win they've had these last 3, 4, 5 games, they've been underdogs. So if anybody's been riding the Titans on the money line as dogs, you've been making a shit ton of money because they continue to produce. So I'd be interested to see what the line's going to be next week against the Saints, because if you're getting the Titans at home as dogs against the Saints, it might be another interesting spot. The Rams are going to be in the division. They're taking on the 49ers. They're traveling to San Francisco. Jumping into the last game on week 9 board, the Chicago Bears traveled to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Show of it. And man, what a Monday night football game this was. 27-29 final. The Steelers pull away at the very, very end. Bears covered the 6-point spread. The over-under was 39. That got absolutely destroyed, the over hit. The story of the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Show of it. Take us away.
Yeah, that was a wild game. I mean, they started out so good, and then we have Ben Roethlisberger doing just Ben Roethlisberger things. One thing that I didn't know about was the Steelers' record on Monday Night Football at home at Heinz Field. Like they
Straight?
have what is it? It's like 50 straight or something like that. They haven't like lost games since like I don't know how long.
They've won 19 straight games on this current streak of Monday Night Football games.
Is that what it is? But yeah, like amazing to be able to continue winning. And then the Steelers, Freiermuth, I've been talking about him all year. Just comes out 2 touchdowns. We talked about Claypool. It looks like Ben is trying to give the ball to Claypool. Like he's like looking for him in the end zone.
It's going there.
It's going there. Yeah. It's going, but it's just not connecting. But from the Bears point of view, like Justin Fields, man, that guy can freaking throw, dude. Like he exploited this Steelers defense and was able to throw deep bombs multiple times. One of them that didn't connect to Mooney because he just like passed him like by 5 yards, overthrew him just a little bit. So not liking like how they were able to exploit that long game, but all in all, man, Ben Roethlisberger coming around in the fourth quarter when it all matters and allowing our kicker to kick that 40-something yard field goal to win the game. I mean, that was just impressive to see. So just another Steelers game, just Steelers doing Steelers thing,
Yeah, he won me $14. I put $5 in. That last kick won me $14.
Oh wow. I thought you would win more because you had Fryer.
No, I thought so too.
Yeah.
No,
it's tough. The daily fantasy leagues are really tough, especially in games where like there's not a ton of touchdowns. Like if you didn't have Darnell Mooney after he got the touchdowns, you're very less likely to make a lot of money, right? So, but nonetheless, still money was made by you, money was made by me, money was made by Shovit. Everybody made money here. Steelers are my survivor pick, so I was on edge here the end of this game, but yeah, the Steelers won this game. Big Ben did what he had to do. 2 touchdowns, protected the football, so no turnovers there. Najee didn't have the most efficient running game, but he did just enough and continued to. There were some runs that he made that were really impressive. Yeah, very crucial first downs. Yeah, a lot of after the contact running, extra yardage. Freiermuth, hands of glue, just doesn't drop anything. But you're right, Shovit. Justin Fields, this was one of the first games where we really saw a lot of Justin Fields' arm on display, and accuracy on some of those running throws, arm strength on some of those deep bombs. I mean, there was a lot to like from Justin Fields, and there is a lot that we don't agree with when it comes to Pro Football Focus, but I'm pretty sure Justin Fields was the highest graded quarterback in Pro Football Focus this week.
Oh, wow. More than Colt McCoy?
Yeah, more than Justin Herbert. And you look at the numbers and it's not there. 17, 29, 291.
I watched this game. I would not put him as number 1 pro football.
No.
Who's working there? How do we email them and tell them they suck?
I don't think he was the best. He should have been the best graded, but whatever numbers they're using, to whether you think there's credibility or not, they've obviously built a very large platform based on their analytics. So he was number 1 rated quarterback. And again, yes, it's not perfect. Yes, it's not pretty. Yes, he's a rookie, but the more he continues to use his feet, right, in spots where he's making really, really decisive decisions. He was getting some time to throw. And when Justin Fields gets time to throw, I don't think there's any question that his arm talent isn't there. So you have to like what you saw from him as a Bears fan. At least you're heading into a bye week now. You're 3-6. So you get an extra week to recoup with Justin Fields. Steelers are now 5-3. They're, it's a tough division, but they're winning games. They're 2 games above 500, and they got an easy matchup against the Lions next week.
This game, though, I feel like it's as a Steelers fan, like, yes, they win the game, but there was so much like question mark with the refereeing.
It
was such a gift. And I just can't even be like, Justin Fields is just not getting the calls that like Ben Roethlisberger gets, like the
roughing the passer
hits, and then that taunting call.
Oh, that was one of the worst calls. The pass interference call was sketchy. I mean, 12 penalties for 115 yards. Like, that's ridiculous.
The taunting one, you know what? I will accept that taunting penalty. As dumb as all these taunting penalties have been this year, why were you walking towards the other team's like players?
Yeah.
And why were you staring for so long? Like, what were you doing?
But see, Yeah, I mean, it's not really taunting. It's funny on Twitter. It's like, oh, we got to be careful about the Steelers players. Like, are they hurt? Like, because all that taunting. Like, be careful. Like, the Steelers players on watch.
No,
But
this whole taunting dog thing has been blown out of proportion. It's like it's ruining the game now, and I think it's like there's more control for Vegas now as far as like fixing 100%. Games. It's like
100%.
It's like it's totally doable. And I'm like I was watching this game. I'm like, this doesn't seem like an NFL game. There's something going on here. It's like why are these things happening? Like it was just a lot of things were just like weird.
There's so many penalties. Just about every penalty can be subjective in the NFL, right? It's about whether the referee saw it, whether the referee didn't see it, and something like holding and taunting. It's a matter of if the referee wants to call it, because those types of penalties are on every fucking play. So you're right. It just puts more in the hands of the referees and makes you wonder if the refs are actually betting on these games, man. They can start calling these fucking phantom ass calls late in the game and really, really dictate how the game goes. So, it's crazy that, there's no bias here. Showit's a Steelers fan, and he's saying that there were penalties that were called that were bogus. So I don't know what the refs are thinking. I mean, it's on primetime TV, Monday Night Football, like everybody's watching, and there's a lot of really, really blatantly terrible calls. So I don't, every job comes with consequences, right? Like if you fuck something up as a doctor, there's a fucking lawsuit on your hands, right? If you're a pilot and you crash an airplane, like there's probably a lawsuit on your hand. You're dying, like verge of death. Like if you're the referee and you're missing big blatant calls, what's the repercussions?
Criteria to like demote you?
Yeah, what happens? They're just like, oh, hey, you missed these calls. See you next week. Like, well, what's going on?
I don't think the NFL cares, man. I think they just won like a huge game. NFL did also sign like some partnership with some gambling organizations as well in the beginning of the season. So like I'm like so sketch about all of this stuff. I've been deep diving into this, and there's actually been an instance like the 2006 Steelers and the Seahawks Super Bowl. The guy who was reffing it, he actually came out and said, "Yeah, that's my mistake. I messed up." He said he messed up, but it's just like. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there's so many questions here. I hate to get on all conspiracy on, but
we fix this, right? We use robots. We use analytics on the field. Why are there little markers being moved with chains? Like this isn't 1986, bro. Like there's got to be a digital chip in the ball, and it should know where it is on the field. Like it's just simple stuff.
Yeah, but. Nonetheless, the Steelers win that game. They're 5-3. Easy schedule for the Steelers next week. They're taking on the Lions. So don't be the team to give the Lions their first victory, Steelers. That would be rather embarrassing. The Bears head into the bye week, so they need to recoup. Encouraging signs for Justin Fields, though. But that wraps up week 9. Again, another wild week. A lot of upsets, big dog upsets there. Let's jump into a couple more segments for you guys. Fantasy stud and dud. One player who's a stud, one player who's a dud. I'll kick us off. James Conner is my fantasy stud. He was the number 1 overall fantasy player this week. 37.8 points in half-point PPR leagues. Number 1 running back, number 1 overall. We talked about it already. 21 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Caught another 5 passes, 77 yards, and caught a touchdown pass. So 3 touchdowns overall. Edmonds in doubt to play next week. Connor could be slotted in as a nice play for most folks. My dud of the week is Bryan Edwards. We all saw the news with Henry Ruggs going to prison. You would have thought that the other receivers would have had more opportunities to step up. Renfro did his thing, but Bryan Edwards, no catches on 4 targets in a week where you expected him to maybe play a little bit better. Not against a good defense either. It was the Giants that they were playing. So a big goose egg for Bryan Edwards in Henry Ruggs' absence. So he's my dud. Who's your stud and dud?
Okay, so I got Jonathan Taylor as my stud. As a Jonathan Taylor owner, I'm kind of getting used to this, and it's kind of scary because it can't. There's no way it's going to continue forever, right? It's just not. But he's producing crazy numbers, and he actually hasn't even had a 20 rushing attempt day so far, and he had 19 this week for 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. It seems like every time he touches the ball, his like 4.3 something speed just clicks automatically. Breaking tackles, catching balls. For that reason, he is my stud of the week. And as far as duds go, my dud of the week is the 49ers defense against Colt McCoy's 36-year-old arm and no DeAndre Hopkins. So that's another
and no AJ Green, no Chase Edmonds. No AJ Green, no DeAndre Hopkins, no Chase Edmonds, no Kyler Murray.
Honestly. There you go. Yeah, what are you doing, 49ers? Like this, there has to be an explanation here, and I don't think there is a clear-cut one for the 49ers defense. So for that reason, you're a dud, dude. You can't let a 36-year-old guy come in here and beat you when you're fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, that was my 11 o'clock defense pickup Sunday morning. I woke up and I saw the 49ers defense was available. I was like, I am copping. Like, why didn't anyone see that? And why didn't anyone pick it up? Only to give me -2 yards. So
Points.
Yeah, -2 points. I mean, yeah. So, it is what it is. All right. So, yeah, my stud and dud. So I'm starting with my stud. My stud is going to be Lamar Jackson against Minnesota Vikings with 32.6 points this week. I think he had the most as far as the points for quarterbacks are concerned. So had a solid game. It's been continuing to play lights off this year. So Lamar Jackson this week, 32.6 points. It's my stud. My dud is going to be a guy that we've been seeing do really well all throughout almost every week until this week. Jamar Chase with 8.9 half-point PPR with 6 catches and 49 yards on 13 targets. He had a touchdown in the red zone that he dropped. So you can't don't drop, then you won't be a dud, right? So yeah, he was very dudley for me this week. Jamar Chase.
Dudley do right. Yeah, if you're number one receiver, you're dropping touchdowns. It's definitely dud worthy. So
AJ Brown was also dropping passes. By the way, I was very close to making him a dud, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Jalen Ramsey, whatever, give him the benefit of the doubt. So. But last thing on the week, again, it's Tuesday. Waiver wire is officially in effect overnight. What are some waiver wire pickups, Shovit, that you've highlighted for us this week?
Yeah, I got my boy who I've been saying every single week, just about, Pat Freiermuth. The tight end for the Steelers is 6 targets, 5 catches, and 2 touchdowns last game. We talked about that. You got to get him. He is the red zone threat for the Steelers. Next guy we got is Darnell Mooney. If we see Justin Fields doing Justin Fields things, then I think Darnell Mooney is going to be the beneficiary of that.
Or benefactor.
Benefactor of that. And along with Darnell Mooney, we're just going to keep it in the Bears house. Got Cole Kmet. Also,
think about the Bears on behalf of it.
The minute we see Justin Fields start to show promise, all those guys automatically become weapons. Allen Robinson, all of a sudden, I was like, is it the resurgence? So you're hitting the nail on the head for sure.
Yeah. And the next guy we've got is no other than Justin Fields, who can do it with his legs. We know that if we can get some passes to the receivers that we just mentioned, then he's going to be looking really good, for fantasy. The next guy is a receiver, Deshaun Jackson. He just got picked up by the Raiders. We saw the Raiders kind of miss Ruggs a little bit. So this is a guy that maybe you kind of want to monitor. I don't know if you put a waiver pick for, but you just kind of look at it and say, maybe 2:30 in the morning, waivers are done. No one picked him up. I picked him up.
Yeah. Real quick on that. Yeah, they are missing Ruggs, significantly missing Ruggs. He was the number one wide receiver on the team. He pretty much led the team in targets every week. Although he wasn't used in ways most number one wide receivers are used, he was used at least 3 times a game. They went like 50 yards down the field, right? And yes, I think Deshaun Jackson on a low pitch count can definitely do that. He's just a little bit older now, so he's not going to be able to give you like all game type of information or type of production, but for a couple plays in the game, yeah, he's worth not a waiver pick, but yeah, at 2:30 a.m. everything's done. There's a green plus sign, and I still have 2 roster spots open. Let's put that guy on the team.
I can't because I've been swiping TikTok for 2 hours. All of a sudden, it's waiver time. Got to pick him up.
Your eyes are squinting. You're like, bless. You're hoping not to pick the wrong person. Yeah, exactly. The next guy that you guys might not agree with me on, but that's why we got 2-3 people here to give you all sort of point of views, is Jordan Howard. He had the team high carries, 17 carries, 71 rush yards. If you think that he will be good, like I think he will be, then pick him up. If not, then don't pick him up. You've got both sides of the coin there. Donovan Peoples-Jones, this guy, not a lot of targets, but ends up scoring touchdowns.
He's always been doing that. He's been doing that for a couple of years now, it feels like.
Yeah, so three targets but was able to score a touchdown on one of those targets. So some guy that you might know, OBJ. Landry, I think, is still out.
He played.
He did play. Okay. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, hit or miss. You might want to see,
Try hitting
look into
there.
that. Not hitting there.
Try hitting there. Like
Try hitting
you might
there.
wanna
Yeah.
try hitting.
Yeah. Next guy, Elijah Moore. I think this guy is going to benefit with White as a quarterback. Without White, I'm shying away from Elijah Moore. But with White, I like that he's getting the targets. He got 2 touchdowns last game as well. So look at Elijah Moore. Next guy, Michael Gallup. He's coming off an IR. So
high flying offense there. So
yeah. Next guy we have is Deonta Forman. Deontay Forman. You guys will have to talk to me about this.
Yeah. He's the dark horse running back for the Titans. He looked the best. He clearly looked the best. He is the youngest, the healthiest, and I don't know about the fastest, but he did look faster than everybody else as well. McNichols just couldn't. He's not a running back. He's kind of like a Gainwell kind of guy. And Peterson's old. Like one little something, you could lose Peterson for the rest of the year. So Peterson was worth the waiver wire pick. But that game just wasn't really in the benefit of the Titans because they had to play the team like, the Rams. So I think we're going to see more Peterson usage here. And if Peterson doesn't cut it, which is a possibility, then Deonta Forman is going to be going forward the running back to have on that team. So yeah, that's why we mentioned this because McNichols is not the guy. He's not the guy, pal.
He will never be the guy.
Yeah, he'll catch passes. He might even catch 8 passes one week and give you 2 touchdowns. But if you want a running back, that's pure runner. Peterson's the guy for now. And if that doesn't work out, which it did not work out very well, and if it doesn't work out a couple more times, Deonta Forman, being the young guy he is, he will take over the role.
Yeah, McNichols thinks he's the guy, but he's just not going to be the guy.
Not the guy, pal.
Is there a chance that team trades for Marlon Mack? I know Marlon Mack's been on the trade rumors
for a while. Trade deadline's
now.
over though. So.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. So they can't trade anybody.
Waivers.
Yeah, never mind.
Last guy we have on the list is Dearness Johnson, and this is only because Nick Chubb's COVID issue. Monitor our Twitter, monitor his COVID situation. He's got to have 2 negative results to be back in on the field on Sunday, which could potentially happen or may not. So, but just for shits and giggles, we've seen what Dearness Johnson can do. If he's the running back that will start, then he's a must start for the Browns.
And Demetric Felton also tested positive for COVID, right? So they have 2 running backs on the COVID list. Kareem Hunt's hurt. So by default, Johnson is literally the only running back they have. So he's going to get carries if he plays.
Yeah. Another person we might want to kind of consider, Derek Carr is playing Kansas City this week. Kansas City allows the second most points to quarterbacks, and Derek Carr likes to sling the ball. So if you're in that Aaron Rodgers situation right now, and if somehow it doesn't play, you might want to pick up Carr, keep him on your bench, and then just ride that Carr and get like 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's another good streaming option for quarterbacks. That wraps it up, guys. That wraps up week 9 recap. Episode 18 is in the books. We'll be back on Friday this week, hopefully. Hopefully my voice isn't as nasally. Hopefully we're all healthy and happy and ready to go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're the Only Playbook. We'll see you on Friday.